All right, guys, if there's one video that you have to see, it's this one, because we have a serious crisis on our hands, and I'm going to lay it all out for you coming up. What's going on, my YouTube friends? This is Jerry Abbott, your #1 real estate resource here in beautiful Las Vegas. Hey guys, a couple of real quick things before we dive into the video. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn the cold hard facts about the US economy, the US real estate market, and specifically the Las Vegas real estate market, then definitely subscribe to the channel down below. Number two, if you happen to like the content in today's video, make sure to press that thumbs up like button, guys. That would really help the channel out. And number three, if you are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, whether it's next month or next year, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. Let's dive into the video. Okay, so there are so many problems in this economy, it's hard to cover it all. From home prices hitting another record high, to car insurance prices surging up 26%, to grocery prices surging 25%, the list just goes on and on. But the biggest problem is the constant gaslighting from the government and the media. Take food prices, for example. Take a look at this recent headline that just came out. New Consumer Price Index report, food prices up 2.1% over last year. But really take a look at the reality of what most Americans are facing. 27% of Americans are skipping meals because of skyrocketing food costs, survey shows, and then the subheadline says another 18% have considered applying for food stamps. So let's just ask this question. Do you really think 27% of Americans would be skipping meals and 18% would be considering food stamps if food prices were only up 2%? I don't think so. But instead, this is what we get from the government. Take a look at this.
Our economy has made considerable progress toward both goals over the past 2 years. The labor market has come into better balance with continued strong job gains and a low unemployment rate. Inflation has eased substantially from a peak of 7% to 2.7%.
Yeah, everything is just fine and dandy. Let me tell you something, guys. It's not. Take a look at this.
A new lease right now is just about $2,100. That's going to be your payment every month on a new apartment lease. When you're taking out a new home mortgage, your payment is almost $3,000 a month, so 38% more expensive.
All right, so this is the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to the economy and how things are not even close to being fine. Take a look at that huge number right inside the middle of the screen there. We're at almost $35 trillion of U.S. national debt. That is a live debt clock, and just in case you're counting, that debt clock is moving at about $3 million per minute. So every single minute that goes by, we are adding $3 million to the U.S. national debt. And when you take a look down below, you can see that it says $103,000 for every single person in America. This just proves the problems that are going on that are not talked about in this country, and that this debt is growing at an absolute exponential pace, which ultimately is going to have consequences for millions of people down the line. And just to add a little bit more salt to the wound, take a look at this. This is the student loan debt clock, and you can see that number at the top of the screen. That's the real-time number where we're about to hit $2.1 trillion just in student loan debt. I remember just a couple of years ago where the student loan debt total amount was about $1 trillion, and now it's grown all the way up to over $2 trillion. So again, whether it's the U.S. national debt, student loan debt, credit card debt, and especially housing debt and the mortgage amounts that people are paying, things are definitely not fine in this country. We are drowning in debt, and there's a lot of consequences that are already happening with a lot of people where defaults are happening on student loan debt, credit card debt, and mortgage default debt. Now, you all know that I'm a real estate guy and I know this industry well, and I also know that acquiring real estate historically has been one of the best ways of growing your own personal assets. But acquiring real estate in today's hyperinflated economy has become completely cost prohibitive at this point for the average person. But all is not lost, because there is a relatively unknown asset class that anyone can get involved with that has historically outperformed real estate, and that asset class is fine art. I know I'm a real estate guy, but after doing the research and checking out this asset class, the historical returns speak for themselves. In fact, as you can see here, contemporary fine art has not only outperformed real estate, but also bonds, gold, and the S&P 500 over the last 28 years. So how can anyone get involved with this asset class? With today's sponsor of the video, Masterworks. Masterworks lets anyone invest in multi-million-dollar works of art from legendary artists like Picasso and Banksy. Masterworks securitizes blue-chip contemporary art via their team of analysts that scour millions of auction records to source and buy art with the greatest potential appreciation. They then divide the paintings into shares that anyone can invest in without needing millions of dollars. And when it comes to selling the paintings and getting you a profit, Masterworks has distributed back over $55 million in investor proceeds across 22 exits of their artwork. Even the largest accounting firm Deloitte reports that approximately 63% of surveyed wealth managers have integrated art into their wealth management offering, and also estimate that this asset class is going to hit $2.8 trillion by 2026, up from $2.1 trillion today. Masterworks has been so successful that over 900,000 members have already signed on, and those numbers are growing by the day, but you can skip the current Masterworks waitlist by clicking the link in the description below or with the on-screen QR code. Now, drilling down a little bit deeper into my neck of the woods here in the Las Vegas area, I want to show you some examples of some shocking home pricing coming up. Let's take a look at those right now. All right, so now I'm on the popular real estate platform Zillow that most of you guys are familiar with. And I usually go to this website near the end of each of my videos just to show you some examples of homes for sale here in the Las Vegas area where I happen to be located. I usually start in the luxury category, and then I work down closer to the average price point to show you a lot of overpricing that's going on here, in my opinion. But a lot of you guys have been asking me, instead of showing these overpriced examples, show what these homes have actually closed for in terms of what the closing price is versus the actual original list price to see if homes have been reduced. And a lot of them have. And I want to start with this first example here. So let's look at the closed price here. Right where I'm moving the arrow near the top here, it says closed for $1,550,000, and it was sold on 3/26/2024. So that's just about 3 months ago. But if we take a look down here in the bottom right, you can see in this blue highlight down here, the date down there says 9/15/2023. So about 9 months ago, this home was originally listed, you can see on the right side of the highlight, for $2 million. They were not able to find a buyer. They did a few price reductions as I scroll up here, and then you can see right here at the top, it says sold $1,550,000. All right, so let's just do a little bit of math here. This home took about 6 months to sell. The original list price was $2 million. It closed for $1,550,000. That's a $450,000 price reduction, or about 25% total price reduction from the original list price to the closing price. Now, again, I know a lot of people obviously can't afford a home like this, but I'm going to show you a couple of examples at a lower price point that are similar in terms of these price reductions, because when the sellers are too aggressive, these homes are not selling. So again, that's why I say to you guys, being patient and not just bidding on a home at the original list price is the wise thing to do, because a lot of sellers are far too aggressive, and this is what's happening. These homes are closing at lower price points. All right, so now let's take a look at this second example of a home that was for sale here in the Las Vegas area that closed a couple of months ago at a much lower price point from the original list price. So again, let's take a look down here in the bottom right in this blue highlight. The date down there says 10/11/2023. So this is about 8 or 9 months ago when the home was originally listed for sale for $825,000. They were not able to find a buyer. So as we scroll up here, you can see they reduced it to $798, $775, $750, $700, and then right there it says sold for $705,000. So again, this is another example of a home that took over 5 months to sell. The original list price was $825. It closed for $705. That's a $120,000 price reduction, or about a 15% total reduction from the original list price to the closing price, because again, there's too much greed going on in this market from sellers, from investors, and home builders. And if you're patient and you don't just bid on the original list price, if these homes are not priced properly, they are going to sit on the market and they're going to go through several price reductions before they finally sell. All right, so now let's take a look at this third and final example of a home that was for sale here in the Las Vegas area back in October of last year, and it just closed about 3 months ago in March of this year. Take a look down here in the bottom right in this blue highlight. So you can see the date down there. The date says 10/26/2023. So that was about 8 months ago. This home was originally listed for sale for $565,000. So this is pretty close to the average price point here in Las Vegas of about $470 right now. And this went through a series of price reductions. It went to $550, $520, $505 as I'm scrolling up here. And then you can see right there underneath my picture, it finally sold for $495,000. So again, let's just roll the clock back a little bit here and do a little math. About 8 months ago, this home was originally listed for sale for $565. Over the next 5 months or so, by the time it finally sold, it sold for $495. That's a $70,000 price reduction, or close to about 15% in a total price reduction from the original list price to the actual closing price. So again, regardless if it's a multi-million-dollar home or an average price point home, if it is not priced properly, even in popular cities like Las Vegas, these homes are going to sit on the market and they're going to go through a series of price reductions until they finally sell, because again, there's a lot of greed out there. There's a lot of builders, investors, and sellers that are just asking for far too aggressive a price, and these homes are not closing at the original list price. So here's the deal, guys. I want you to take one lesson away from this video, especially if you're looking at buying a high-ticket item right now like a home, and that's to exercise patience, because as you just saw in those previous home examples, they closed at much lower prices because, again, the sellers and the investors were trying to get crazy prices for those homes that were not true value. If you exercise patience, especially in my opinion, through the rest of this year and into 2025, I definitely think we're going to see lower home prices, which is going to be more advantageous for you when it's finally time to buy a home. So before we end today's video, I just want to give a shout out to my favorite comment from last week's video, and that goes to Victoria. Now I'm going to put Victoria's comments up here on full screen. I'm going to read it to you guys real quick and then come back on the other side and comment on it. So Victoria said, "We rented a 2,300 square foot home for $1,650 between 2018 to 2021. After we bought a home in 2021, the house we rented now costs $2,500 to rent." So even though Victoria bought a home, if she was still in that property, she would be paying about 60% more in rent just in the last couple of years. And again, this is what the mainstream media and the government do not report. They only talk about the current inflation rate at 2 or 3%. They don't talk about the compounded inflation rate over the last few years. So I want to hear from you guys. I want you to drop me a comment down below. I read and respond to all of my comments. I want to know what you guys are paying for rent, or how much your rent has gone up, or anything that has gone up dramatically in the last few years, just so we can see what your true compounded inflation rate is. And my favorite comment from this week's video, I'm going to give a direct on-screen shout out to in next week's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I also hope you appreciate my transparency. You know that I'm always going to keep it 100% real on this channel regarding the economy and the real estate market. So again, guys, the lesson to take away from this video is be patient, save your money, don't buy high ticket items right now, only buy what you really need to. If you are thinking about buying a home, I know everybody's circumstances are different. Some people can wait things out, which I think is the better option. If you are thinking about buying a home, try to find a good deal. If you're thinking about buying a home here in the Las Vegas area, where I happen to be located, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you guys in the next video.